Hello everyone. Hope everyone's doing awesome today. A little fuzzy on my shirt. It's going to drive me crazy. Going live with today's Launch and Learn, where we're going to be talking about how holidays can affect your launches. And sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. I had some technical difficulties. My keyboard would not let me type the title into Facebook Live, so it wouldn't let me go live. Welcome and welcome to I was going to call it Lunch and Learn because that's where I got the idea for the name for the show, Launch and Learn. And so wanted to jump in today actually to share, because we have Labor Day coming up, and obviously we're going into a little further ahead, November, December, we'll be heading into the holidays, but wanted to talk because I get a lot of questions from clients around whether to launch during a holiday, over a holiday, how that affects marketing and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to pop in here and talk about that today. I just thought I was watching, I don't know if you guys follow Erin Trafford. She's an organic traffic expert this morning. And she had as a live show, and she had on the cutest yellow shirt, and she looked so bright. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear a bright colored shirt today on Launch and Learn. And then I went to look in my closet, and this is about the most colorful thing that I own. So this is probably the most colorful thing you'll see me in, is my Jurassic Park shirt. But I've got some colorful lipstick on to complement. So yeah, okay, so let's dig in. So like I said, two of the questions when planning for launching that sometimes clients will ask or people will ask is, should I launch a program over the holiday, or should I, is it okay to promote my launch over a holiday? So the first thing that this presupposes is that you have a planning cadence in your business. And what a planning cadence is really the frequency by which you and your team, if you have one, as a coach, plan ahead for things in your business, specifically in my world, launching. And there's a balance in your planning cadence, and that is you don't want to plan too far or not far enough ahead, but you also want to plan too far ahead. So I just want to talk about that a little bit because it does play into planning around the holidays for your launches. And when I say when you have a planning cadence for your launches that you don't want to plan not enough ahead, what I mean by that is, if you get in the pattern of planning things, the week before, or sometimes clients like the week of, right, or a couple weeks before, it really doesn't help you or support your team in understanding how whatever you're doing is fitting into the overall vision and strategy of your business or your launch in this case. So if you're just looking a week ahead and kind of planning what you're going to do from the next week, you're not seeing the big picture and making sure that what you're actually planning is fitting into your strategy, and you're not creating enough space and time for yourself and for your team to actually create the assets needed to execute. And what that can cause then is breakdowns, overwhelm, burnout, if your team is in this constant hustle, right, of like week to week to week with no planning. On the flip side, though, you don't want to plan too far ahead because things change, right? Especially in the digital marketing space, right? Things change very, very quickly. New strategies emerge, kind of go-to strategies emerge. Sometimes, things that you think were going to work to fall flat and you have to shift. Sometimes things come up and things that you thought were going to be the best strategy for you are no longer. So where it's good to have a big, like, bird's eye view of what maybe your year looks like, your quarter looks like, you really want to make sure that you're not planning so far ahead that your team's going to start to create assets or execute on projects and get to the point where you have a download, right? Or you get coaching and you're like, oh, wait, I want to completely switch this strategy. And then everyone's like, oh, we already did all this work, right? And now we have to go back and kind of redo. So that, of course, would be a waste of resources. And one of our goals in business is to increase our profitability. And if we're not being streamlined with our resources and allocating them wisely and timely, then that affects our bottom line. So that's what I kind of want to preface this this live with, is to make sure that you have a planning cadence that works for your business, that works for how you plan and how you strategize, and come up with that balance of timing that leaves enough time for your team to execute without getting overwhelmed, but not too much time that things shift and you're recreating things over and over again. So yeah, okay, so that's the first thing. And then, so once you have a planning cadence developed, like, so for most of my clients, we have either a monthly content planning meeting or a bi-monthly content planning meeting. And that's in addition to kind of the quarterly, like, strategic planning. And the content planning is really to look at the calendar, right? And make sure that anything that we have mapped out still applies. Look down into the details of what the marketing strategy, execution, and tactics actually look like, and how the timing on those, and how many emails we go, how many emails we might have going into email campaigns and that kind of thing. So when you're looking at your content planning meeting, which gets to be part of your planning cadence, you can look ahead to holidays. And so, for instance, like, we have Labor Day coming up, and then we have, after that, I guess the next thing would be Halloween. And I don't know if in our space, that many people market around Halloween, but and then you go into Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, of course, and the New Year. So when you're thinking about whether or not to either launch a program over the holidays or launch a program after the holidays, in that your marketing, your main marketing campaigns may actually be happening through the holidays, really what you want to take into account is, and this applies to so many things in business, is who is your ideal client, okay? So if your ideal client, who is your ideal client and how do you support them? So if your ideal client, if you're a nutrition expert and you support people with nutrition and wellness, launching a program over the holidays in December, over Christmas, might be really wise, because that may be a period for people that they really need support, right? Because they're maybe going to holiday parties, even with COVID, obviously things have shifted from in person, but they may be, there may be more treats available or things that are not in their nutritional plan, and they may need support during that times. Or if you're a grief coach, right? A lot of people really struggle through the holidays. So thinking ahead to who your ideal client is and how you support them can drive a lot of the decision making around whether or not you launch in a holiday season, and how that could affect whether or not that supports your clients and also gets, helps you to get the results and also gets results in your business. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing you want to consider is your traffic. So for instance, if you are launching something over the holiday, for instance, I had a client who is doing a challenge in September, and we originally had the challenge such that her Facebook ads were going to start the Friday before Labor Day. So, when I was looking ahead to our campaigns, I reached out to the Facebook ads agency that we work with and was like, hey, our promotion is set to start on ads the Friday before Labor Day. Is that going to work for or against us, right? And their feedback was that they typically see Facebook ad costs increase over Labor Day weekend. So that for us was like great information, so that we could decide whether or not we wanted to drop Facebook ads from our strategy, from our promotional strategy for that challenge, and promote it in other ways to their list, through organic marketing, through partnerships, or what we eventually decided, which was to actually move the dates of the challenge so that we could accommodate still using Facebook ads to drive traffic to the challenge and not have the issue of the increased costs over Labor Day. So you want to think about how you're running traffic and how it may affect your results. So for instance, if you have a really warm email list, marketing to them over a holiday may not be as challenging as trying to market to cold traffic, right? So that's another thing that you want to consider is how you're running traffic to your program, to your launch. And then finally, another piece to this is when you're planning ahead for the holidays, not just for launching, but for your regular content, you can consider working in and acknowledging holidays into your nurture content. So for instance, and that doesn't mean, again, I'm talking about nurture here, you may not want to send someone a sales email on Christmas Day, but depending again on what your audience is, you may want to think about how you can acknowledge the holiday, how it supports your marketing strategy, and how it may support an upcoming launch. And then the other thing that you want to consider really is, where are your clients located? So when we were talking about thinking about who your ideal client is and how you support them and how the holidays may integrate with that, the other thing to consider is where your ideal clients are located. So do you have a lot of ideal clients that are US based? And then may want to plan your content, your launch, your marketing around US holidays, right? Or to avoid them if depending on what you're launching, or if you have a global community, considering what other holidays are globally recognized. So those are some of the things that you can consider when you're planning ahead to how the holidays can affect your launch. So just to do a quick recap, what we talked about was first and foremost, and I recommend this across the board, whether you're launch planning or for anything else in your business, is having a planning cadence with yourself and your team. And making sure that your planning cadence is not too crunchy and doesn't leave enough time for planning and for execution, but also not making it too far ahead that if things switch up, that your team has to redo things that they've already done. And then once you're in the planning cadence, looking ahead to holidays and thinking about whether or not it makes sense to launch a program over the holiday, to the extent that it may support your ideal clients and how you get them results. You'll want to consider how you're running traffic. If you're running things like paid traffic, then holidays may drive your costs up and affect your budget. And then also considering where your clients are, that may affect what holidays they actually celebrate, or may affect your launches. And also, there's also that opportunity for acknowledging holidays in your content, whether it's in your nurture campaigns, to your email, or on social media. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. If you're watching the replay, let me know. And I hope everyone has an awesome Thursday.